The Catholic world mourns the loss of its spiritual leader. Pope Francis passed away earlier today at 7:35 a.m. Vatican time. He was 88 years old. The news, announced by Cardinal Kevin Farrell, the Vatican Camerlengo, brings to an end a papacy that has captivated the world for over a decade. The pontiff's death follows a period of declining health. Just weeks ago, he was hospitalized in Rome for a serious bout of pneumonia. He received treatment for an infection that affected both lungs. Although he recovered enough to return to the Vatican, his health remained a concern for many. Pope Francis, born Jorge Mario Bergoglio in Buenos Aires, Argentina, was a man whose life was shaped by deep faith, humility, and a profound sense of service. From his earliest days, he was marked by a quiet strength and a gentle spirit, qualities that would come to define his leadership and his legacy. Growing up in a bustling city, surrounded by the vibrant culture of Argentina and the traditions of his Italian immigrant family, young Jorge learned the values of compassion, hard work, and empathy for those less fortunate. His journey from the son of Italian immigrants to the leader of the Catholic Church is a testament to his unwavering devotion to God and his fellow man. As a young man, he entered the Society of Jesus, dedicating himself to a life of service, education, and spiritual growth. His early years as a Jesuit priest were spent working in the neighborhoods of Buenos Aires, where he ministered to the poor, the sick, and the marginalized. These experiences shaped his worldview and instilled in him a lifelong commitment to social justice and the dignity of every human being. He was known for his simple lifestyle, often eschewing the opulent trappings of his office for a more modest approach. Even as Archbishop of Buenos Aires, he chose to live in a small apartment, cook his own meals, and take public transportation. This humility continued into his papacy, where he became a symbol of simplicity and accessibility, reaching out to people from all walks of life and reminding the world that true greatness lies in serving others. He chose the name Francis in honor of Saint Francis of Assisi, the patron saint of the poor and animals. This choice was not merely symbolic. It reflected his deep admiration for Saint Francis's commitment to peace, humility, and care for creation. By adopting this name, Pope Francis signaled his intention to lead the Church with a spirit of compassion, simplicity, and a special concern for the most vulnerable. This choice, made during his inaugural address, signaled a clear departure from the past and a commitment to serving the most vulnerable members of society. His first words as Pope resonated with millions as he called for a church that is poor and for the poor. The crowds in St. Peter's Square felt a renewed sense of hope, inspired by his humility and his vision for a more inclusive, compassionate church. His papacy has been marked by a profound sense of compassion and a willingness to engage with the world's most pressing issues. From advocating for refugees and the homeless, to addressing climate change and global inequality, Pope Francis has consistently championed the cause of the marginalized. His legacy is one of bridge building, dialogue, and a relentless pursuit of justice and mercy for all people, regardless of their background or beliefs. Jorge Mario Bergoglio's journey to the papacy was an extraordinary one. Born and raised in a working-class neighborhood in Buenos Aires, he experienced firsthand the struggles of ordinary people. He was ordained as a Jesuit priest in 1969 and quickly rose through the ranks, eventually becoming the Archbishop of Buenos Aires. In 2013, he was elected Pope, the first Latin American to ever hold the position. His election was greeted with surprise and jubilation by Catholics around the world. His election marked a historic moment for the Church, signaling a shift toward the developing world and a renewed focus on the needs of the poor and marginalized. Throughout his papacy, Pope Francis made it his mission to reach out to those on the margins of society. From the very beginning, he chose to live simply, rejecting many of the traditional luxuries of his office. He often reminded the world that the Church should be a field hospital for the wounded, not a fortress for the privileged. His humility and warmth were evident in his actions, as he embraced those who felt forgotten or excluded. He was a vocal advocate for the poor, the sick, and the imprisoned. Pope Francis regularly visited hospitals, homeless shelters, and prisons, offering comfort and hope to those who needed it most. He encouraged Catholics everywhere to serve others, not just with words, but with concrete acts of kindness and solidarity. His compassion extended beyond the Catholic community, reaching people of all backgrounds and beliefs. He called for greater economic justice and challenged world leaders to do more to address climate change. In his landmark encyclical Laudato Si, he urged humanity to care for our common home and to protect the planet for future generations. Pope Francis spoke out against the growing gap between rich and poor, insisting that economic systems must serve people, not the other way around. His words inspired global conversations about responsibility, stewardship, and justice. His message of compassion and inclusivity really resonated with people of all faiths. Pope Francis made a point of reaching out to leaders of other religions, fostering dialogue and understanding. He believed that building bridges between communities was essential for peace in a divided world. His openness and respect for diversity helped to break down barriers and encouraged millions to see the humanity in one another. He was particularly passionate about welcoming migrants and refugees. Pope Francis visited refugee camps and migrant shelters, listening to their stories and advocating for their rights. He reminded the world that every person, regardless of their origin, deserves dignity and compassion. His actions inspired many to open their hearts and communities to those seeking safety and a better life. He often spoke out against the evils of xenophobia and called on nations to open their borders to those fleeing violence and persecution. Pope Francis challenged political leaders to put humanity above politics, urging them to remember the faces and stories behind the statistics. His unwavering stance on this issue made him a powerful voice for the voiceless. His willingness to speak truth to power, even when it meant challenging the status quo, earned him both admiration and criticism. While many praised his courage and vision, others felt uncomfortable with his calls for change. Yet, Pope Francis remained steadfast, guided by his deep faith and commitment to justice. His legacy as a Pope of the people continues to inspire hope and action around the world. Pope Francis will be remembered for his unwavering commitment to the values of the gospel. He preached a message of love, forgiveness, and compassion. He reminded the faithful that true faith is not passive but requires action. He urged Catholics to be instruments of peace and reconciliation in a world often torn apart by conflict. He also demonstrated great courage in addressing difficult issues within the Church. He acknowledged the pain caused by the sexual abuse crisis and took steps to address it, though some argued he could have done more. He also initiated a dialogue about the role of women in the Church and the need for greater transparency and accountability at all levels. Pope Francis's papacy was not without its challenges. He led the Church during a time of great social and political upheaval. His progressive views on issues such as climate change, economic inequality, and LGBTQ+ rights brought him into conflict with conservative elements within the Church, as well as some political leaders. Despite these challenges, he remained a steadfast voice for dialogue and understanding. He sought to build bridges between different cultures and religions, emphasizing the common humanity that unites us all. He believed that true peace could only be achieved through mutual respect and cooperation. With the passing of Pope Francis, the world stands at a crossroads, witnessing the end of an era defined by compassion, humility, and a commitment to social justice. His leadership touched millions, inspiring hope and dialogue across faiths and nations. Now, as the bells of St. Peter's toll in morning, the Catholic Church finds itself in a moment of profound reflection and uncertainty. The Catholic Church now enters a period of mourning and transition, as the faithful gather from every corner of the globe to pay their respects. The air is heavy with both sorrow and anticipation, as prayers are offered for guidance and unity in the days ahead. Cardinals from around the world will soon gather in Rome for a conclave to elect a new pope. This ancient tradition, steeped in ritual and secrecy, will bring together church leaders from diverse backgrounds and perspectives, each carrying the hopes and concerns of their communities. This gathering will be a pivotal moment for the Church, as the cardinals deliberate behind closed doors, seeking wisdom and inspiration to choose a leader who can guide the Church through the complexities of the modern world. The Church must now grapple with the legacy of Pope Francis, a legacy marked by outreach to the marginalized, calls for environmental stewardship, and efforts to address internal challenges. At the same time, it must confront the pressing issues that lie ahead, from declining membership in some regions to debates over doctrine and tradition. The next pope will inherit a church that is both vibrant and divided, a global community rich in diversity but facing tensions over its future direction. He will be called to bridge divides, foster dialogue, and renew the Church's mission in a rapidly changing world. He will face the daunting task of guiding the faithful through challenges such as secularization, shifting cultural values, and the need for greater transparency and accountability, all while inspiring hope and unity among Catholics everywhere. At the heart of his mission will be the preservation of the Church's ancient traditions and teachings, ensuring that its spiritual heritage continues to offer meaning and comfort to generations to come, even as new questions and opportunities arise. The eyes of the world will be watching as the Church embarks on this new chapter in its long and storied history. The decisions made in the coming weeks will shape not only the future of Catholicism, but also its role in the broader human story, reminding us all of the enduring power of faith, hope, and leadership in times of change.